Session Bhasha Paribhasha. Before that, I just want to make an announcement for the Jaipur bookmark speakers. Those speakers that need car ferries for Narayan Nivas, there will be a car at 3 p.m. Please go to the transport desk and ask for directions. This is for Jaipur bookmark. Well, now, I'd really like to welcome on stage our speakers. Please give a big hand. Vaidehi, Sachin Kundalkar, C.P. Deval, and our moderator, Navtej Sarma. Also, I meant to mention Gajra Kothari, who's on this list. Thank you so much. So this session is on the plurality of, why am I not able to say plurality of Indian languages. The moderator, Navtej Sarna, is a well-known diplomat, and he's also the author of several novels, The Exile and We Weren't Lovers Like That, as well as a short story collection, Winter Evenings. But his most recent work is a translation of Punjabi partition short stories, and it's called Savage Harvest. He's also a regular contributor to several newspapers and journals, and he's going to lead us through this session and spark it off. But thanks to all of you very warmly for being here, and to you as well, and enjoy.
Thank you very much, Suresh, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session, which immediately after lunch, I think, should have a nice and lazy beginning. So hopefully we will also keep gathering our audience as we go along. But I'm very happy here to be with a very, very distinguished and a very, very varied panel. It is, I think that is the essence of this panel and this session, the amount of variety that we have, and entirely here the denominator is different Indian languages. To let me begin by introducing, on the right there is Gajra Kothari, who is a well-known screenplay writer of the very popular TV serial Balika Badu and others. She has written a novel, Broken Melodies, and is now coming out with a novel, Kora Kagaz, in Hindi, and is also the author of 2 short story collections. I have on my right a very distinguished Kannada writer and literature and poetess, Vaidehi, who hails from Karnataka and has over 39 publications to her credit of all sorts, stories, novels, poems, children plays, essays. I would very much like to know somewhere during the session what she would describe herself as. And much of her work has also been translated into English, highly awarded and decorated. On my left here is Sachin Kundalkar, Maharashtrian Marathi film director, writer, novelist. His Cobalt Blue, which came out in Marathi many, many years ago, is now being talked about a lot, even in this festival, and has come out in English. He's made several films in Marathi and also a film in Hindi, and I wonder if that is going to be a Bollywood film or not. Somewhere during the session, Sachin, you will have to tell us that. And on the left is a hero of Rajasthan, Chandraprakash Deval, a highly regarded literature of Rajasthan, poet, thinker about the language, author of, I think, 44 publications, Sahitya Academy Award winner, highly decorated in many other ways, and also has translations of major works into Rajasthani. He's translated books like Crime and Punishment, Waiting for Godot, and so on. And we'll hear more about this. So what my idea of this session, and of course it's going to be entirely in the hands of the players here, is to let everybody speak and to show the audience how different and maybe how united Indian languages and literature are. I'm going to start with the other extreme, and Churchill, I think it was, who said that there is nothing like India. And it's some idea of some wild notion, etc. And similarly, there is a belief that there is nothing like Indian literature, because it's either Bengali literature, Punjabi literature, Malayalam literature, Rajasthani, Marathi, what have you, different literatures masquerading together under this very loose rubric of Indian literature. So, Deval sir, may I ask you first, is there something like Indian literature?
नमस्कार। जिसे हम भारतीय साहित्य कहते हैं वह तो निश्चय ही है, लेकिन ये एक बहुत अद्भुत चीज़ है कि वो इस स्वरूप में नज़र नहीं आता। राधा कृष्णन जी ने एक बहुत सुंदर बात कही, सर्वपल्ली राधा कृष्णन ने। उन्होंने कहा कि भारतीय साहित्य एक है, यद्यपि वह कई भारतीय भाषाओं में लिखा जाता है। इंडियन लिटरेचर इज वन, दो रिटन इन मैनी लैंग्वेजेस। तो जब हम इस चीज़ को जब हम देखते हैं तब हम ये पाते हैं, और ठीक कहा आपने कि भारतीय साहित्य नाम की ऐसी कोई चीज़ नहीं है, ऐसी कोई आइडेंटिटी नहीं है। ठीक इसी तरह मैं कह सकता हूँ भारतीय संस्कृति इस नाम की भी कोई चीज़ नहीं है। लेकिन जब भी हम ऐसा कह रहे होते हैं तब हम उस प्लूरलिटी को, उस बहुलता को बता रहे होते हैं कि भारत में जो 23 या 24 जवानों में और उनसे भी छोटी जवानों में जो अभी संविधान में स्वीकृत नहीं है, 8वीं अनुसूची में नहीं आई है, वो जो छोटी छोटी बोलियां हैं उनमें जो लिखा जा रहा है वो सारा मिलकर के जो साहित्य बनता है वह भारतीय साहित्य। तो इसलिए जो भारत के अंदर जितनी बहुलता आपको दिखाई देती है उसके भीतर की एकता आपको नजर नहीं आती, क्योंकि एकता असल में गुंफित है जमीन के नीचे। मैं तो यहां तक कह सकता हूं कि ये राजनीतिज्ञों को ये मुगालता हो सकता है कि वो फौज और ये अपने राजनीति के अपने प्रबंध और अपने शासन के द्वारा इस देश को एक देश बनाए हुए हैं। ये गलत है। इस देश को एक देश बनाना सिर्फ भारतीय साहित्य और भारतीय भाषाओं में रचित साहित्य का सिलसिला है कि जो इसे एक बनाए हुए हैं। बाहर से अलग अलग दिखता है लेकिन भीतर से एक है।
So I think the audience has voted with its hands. So there is a concept of Indian literature. Where does this get united? Deval Sahab said that it gets united somewhere under the earth of the language. But surely there are commonalities in language. Would any of you like to comment on it? Vaidehi, would you like to? Are there commonalities in different Indian languages? Maybe in the idioms, maybe in the roots of the languages?
The pains and the feelings and the way of expression, there is commonality, I think. And one thing, Ramayana is our language, Indian language, and there are 300 Ramayanas. Same Ramayana. So Indian Ramayana is one. All the states, people of India feel the same thing, same sankata, same pain, but we write in different languages. That's the only thing I think.
So you have touched upon a very big subject there, that there is our whole mythology which is the root perhaps of our literature, but also the fact that emotions, pains, tribulations are universal, and hence their expectation. What is your feeling? Because you are on TV now where you reach every drawing room.
Yes, I think as far as having to appeal to a pan-Indian audience is concerned, television is the biggest challenge. But it has also taught me that exactly what Devalji and Vaidehi said, that we are all the same at the base. Talking of myself, I am a Punjabi, educated in English, married to a Kannadiga, and writing for the last 6 years a serial based in Rajasthan.
Well done.
In terms of the Indian sensibility, I have never felt alienated from Balika Vadhu. Yes, there is a little bit of a difference in terms of English and Hindi, but when it comes to the Indian languages or Indian cultures, the emotions which a woman, which a mother and a son feel for each other, which are so deeply entrenched in our psyche across India, are the same. The ideals which are expected in a woman, the fact that in every corner of India there is the concept of fasting for another person. We won't go into the merits and demerits in terms of gender bias, but yes, it is a concept which every region and every part of India can identify with, and therefore we are one.
Sachin, you're in the home, Mumbai,
Correct.
film down. Are you feeding on these commonalities then?
Well, I come from Pune and it's been 3 years I'm staying in Bombay. I'm complete Puneri, born and brought up there, schooled in Marathi medium. My work, like the city I moved to, Bombay, made me realize what really India is, because it's really, you know, a small kind of miniature India. Also the kind of work I do, I don't know, in terms of language, in terms of expression, we all are very, very polluted in big cities. Our identities can't be maintained. We are not distinguished from each other in terms of colors and texture, because we all look same, we all talk in the same way. I don't know, now we don't look different, right? I'm a very urban person, I'm sorry. But world to me is very uniform, homogeneous. For me, translation is a key as a process for literature to understand different nations that exist in India. Punjab for me is another nation, Kerala for me is another nation. And then through translations, if I am able to access the literature in English or in Marathi, if it's translated in Marathi, Hindi for that matter, or in English, which is great because English most of us speak. So if the works are translated in English, then I've got the access, and I've come to realize, oh no, there's much deeper to people in Kerala than the Keralites I meet in Bombay and Pune. They just look like me, we are all the same, but no, Kerala is different. And also cinema for that matter, because cinema has opened up amazing vistas, amazing, I know my country through cinema more than books. I am not such a big reader of regional literature because I don't know the languages, and the amount of translation that happens is so less, and the quality is absolutely stunning, you all will agree. You don't feel like picking up the book, you don't feel like reading it. It's amazing, it's what to say. So we don't tend to read much from other Indian languages. We are so absorbed and we are so occupied with us, our own stuff, our own expression and our own being, especially in the times now when language is politicized to make you insecure and to push you in a kind of unstableness where you are constantly told that your language is vanishing and you have to do something to protect it. And nobody tells you what exactly to do. There are two things you could do. You could speak and you could write. And apart from that, what happens is just a chaos, and then elections happen, of course. And
To add to the chaos.
yeah, to add to the chaos. So regional languages right now are huge election tools. They have been manipulated. In my city, Maharashtra, it's a big thing. So I really don't feel, I know that it's one India and one Indian literature. My generation, growing up in my city, I never felt it was all one. It was always distinguished for me. Far away, it was all far away from me. I don't know any Rajasthani writer, pity it is. I mean, completely wrong. I mean, I apologize for that. But this is how it's been. So, I don't know, should I call it as a whole Indian expression or not. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to correct that situation very quickly
Yeah,
today. But you've said several very, very interesting things and several thoughts in my mind. But the first thing you said is that you understand Mumbai or Bombay as India because you face all sorts of people and therefore you have a common language. But I think that is also very distinct. I don't think in any other language you have a phrase like Khali pili poo marta hai, whatever. I have no idea what it means, but I've heard it when I was.
मेरे को तेरे से एक बात करना है.
So I don't think this is common at all. So I'm going to firstly bounce this off Deval Sahab because आप मेरे से बात कर रहे थे कि कितने मुहावरे हैं जो हर जुबान में कॉमन है, सीजन्स हैं, फोक सॉन्ग्स
जी।
हैं, कुछ बताइए।
देखिए क्या है कि अभी सचिन बाबू ने जो बातें कही वो उसमें बहुत सत्य था कि हम ये जानते नहीं कि राजस्थानी में नहीं, इसी तरह राजस्थान में भी ऐसे लोग हैं जो नहीं जानते कि मराठी में क्या हो रहा है। और दुर्भाग्य ये है कि जब तक हम ये नहीं जानेंगे कि मराठी में क्या हो रहा है, या मराठी राइटर ये नहीं जानेगा कि राजस्थानी में क्या हो रहा है, तब तक वो भारतीय साहित्य की कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते। एक नंबर 2, जहाँ तक ये बहुलता हमें नजर आती है, असल में ये, इसे मैं कहूँ, ये नजर का धोखा है। ये बाबू ये और कुछ भी नहीं है, ये नजर का धोखा है। मैं अभी आप यहाँ 500 आदमी बैठे हैं, अगर मैं आप सबसे को कहूँ कि आप खड़े हो जाएं और आप यहाँ से चल कर के बाहर के दरवाजे तक जाएं, आप 500 ही व्यक्ति अपने बाएं और दाएं पैर का इस्तेमाल करेंगे, दोनों हाथ पांव आगे पीछे करते हुए चले जाएंगे, लेकिन मैं दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं कि आप 500 ही लोगों की चाल है वो एक जैसी नहीं हो सकती। तो जो कुदरत है, जो प्रकृति है, मनुष्य स्वभावतः उसे बहुलता में प्रकट होना चाहता है। एक जैसे कदम मिलाने के लिए 3 महीने पीटी करनी पड़ती है, ड्राम डाम डाम डाम, लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट राइट लेफ्ट राइट, तब जाकर करके हम एक साथ चल पाते हैं। तो सवाल यह है कि ये जो बहुलता नजर आती है, इसके पीछे एकता कहाँ है? जब मैं ये कहता हूं कि बिल्कुल एकता है तो इसका मानी क्या है? उसके दो सोर्सेस हैं। एक एकता हमारी भारतीय भाषाओं में से होकर करके आती है, जो भाषाओं का एक गुण है। जैसे सारी भारतीय भाषाओं में एक चीज उभय है, कॉमन है, वो है ग्रामर। जो हर भाषा में संज्ञा है, जो हर भाषा में क्रिया है, तो क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि उन भाषाओं के अंदर एक खास किस्म की एकता है? दूसरा, जब अगर आप प्रत्येक भाषा के मुहावरे को उठा करके देखें, मैं हमेशा ये सोचता हूं कि जितने भी मुहावरे हैं किसी भी भाषा में, वो भाषा का सबसे प्रिमिटिव स्वरूप है। जब भाषा के पास शब्द कम थे, मुहावरे क्या हैं? हमारे सारे अंगों से संबंधित है। आंख से मुहावरे हैं, आंख नहीं मिलाना, आंख झुकाना, आंख दिखाना, आंख तरेड़ना, आंख बंद होना, आंख मिचना, और इनके सबके अलग अलग अर्थ होते चले जाते हैं। और जब मैं सारी भारतीय भाषाओं में, मैं जो इन दिनों जब मैं कोर्स का काम कर रहा हूँ, मराठी राजस्थानी का कर रहा हूँ, पंजाबी कर चुका हूँ, और डोगरी वाला तो प्रकाशित भी हो गया है, तो मैं एक बहुत अजीब निष्कर्ष पर पहुंचता हूँ कि उनमें भाषा के अंदर जब मैं उसके मुहावरे और उसके कहावतों को और इनको जब देखने लगता हूँ, तो मुझे लगता है कि ओहो, ये भारतीय भाषाएं तो सारी की सारी एक है। ये ठीक उस तरह का है जैसे आप एक कागज पर एक बिंदु लगाएं और उसके आसपास घेरे बनाते चले जाएं, बाहर जहां पर आप जाएंगे वो बहुलता होगी, और इसको एंटी क्लॉकवाइज जब चलेंगे, आप उल्टा चलेंगे, तो आप उसी केंद्र बिंदु तक पहुंचते हैं, और वो जो साक्षात्कार होगा वो आपकी एकता है। तो वो एकता होते हुए भी आपको बहुलता नजर आती है। दूसरा जो मामला है वो साहित्य के अंदर की एकता है। वेदई जी ने बहुत सुंदर आर.के. रामानुजम का एक हवाला दिया। रामानुजम कहते हैं भारतवर्ष में लगभग 308 तरह की रामायण है। 310 या 300 ही गिन लें, 300 रामायण का मतलब राम कथाओं पर लिखी हुई चीजें हैं जो भारत की 24 भाषाओं में। लेकिन 300 रामायण होते हुए भी रामायण एक है। वो डाइवर्सिटी है, वो बहुलता है, और उसके केंद्र में होना वो एक है। और इसलिए जब हम भारतीय भाषाओं में ये 2 महाकाव्यों ने हमें सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित किया है, रामायण और महाभारत। हम उन्हीं में से एक टेक्स्ट उठाते हैं, एक पाठ उठाते हैं, एक चरित्र उठाते हैं और अपनी एक रचना कर डालते हैं। ठीक इसी तरह लोक कथाओं में से भी हम एक लोक कथा को उठाते हैं और उसको एक चीज में अपनी रचना में बदल देते हैं। जैसे मैं कल बता रहा था कि विजयदान देथा ये काम करते हैं, चंद्रशेखर कंबार वहां से आती हैं, ये श्री संपीजा लिखते हैं, नाटक है उनका, और नागमंडल गिरीश कर्नाड और विजयदान देथा सांपरी सुगरई, और तीनों कहानियों का मोटिव एक है। लेकिन जब हम तीनों रचनाओं को देखते हैं तब हम पाते हैं कि ये तीनों अलग अलग रचनाएं हैं, जबकि कुल मिलाकर करके हमारी जो एकता है वो सोर्स से आती है जिसे हम डेवलप करते हैं। और इसी तरह महाभारत या जो हमारा लिखा हुआ जब वापस वाचिक स्वरूप में जाता है तब वापस एक दूसरा रिवर्स प्रोसेस शुरू होता है, और ये हमारी एकता को हमेशा बहुलता में दिखाता है, और जो बहुलता होती है वो हमेशा एकता में निहित रहती ही है।
लेकिन देवाल साहब, ये सब एकता होने के बावजूद जो सचिन ने कहा कि हम अलग अलग हैं, डिफरेंट नेशंस ही कॉल्ड इट, ही डजंट नो व्हाट the Maharashtrian nation doesn't know what the Punjab nation, quote unquote, is reading or writing or otherwise. So let me take you to the idea of translation,
Yes.
the need for translation. Do you think that the only way we can understand each other is translating it in our works into English?
No, I disagree with you. माफ करें मुझे, मैं मानता हूं कि हमारी एकता को नापने का एकमात्र मापदंड है अनुवाद, लेकिन वो अनुवाद किसी दूसरी भारतीय भाषा के माध्यम से होकर के न आया हो। अगर मराठी से राजस्थानी में ट्रांसलेशन है या राजस्थानी से कन्नड़ा में ट्रांसलेशन है, तब वो जो ट्रांसलेशन होगा वो हमें बताएगा कि हमारी कितनी एकता निहित है। अंग्रेजी में दिख जाएगा आपको, अंग्रेजी में जो ही जाएंगे तो उनके अंग्रेजी में जो जाने के बाद जो आपके सामने स्वरूप बनेगा, उसमें वो जो हल्के हल्के जो रंगों की छटाएं हैं, उनकी जो खूबसूरती है, वो सब समाप्त हो जाती है। वो एक बिल्कुल प्रोटोटाइप सा आपको लगने लगता है कि ये जो लिखा हुआ है, ये राजस्थान में भी लिखा जा सकता था, तमिलनाडु में भी लिखा जा सकता था।
कि जो
मेरा कहने का
generation-
मतलब है कि ये अनुवाद तो बहुत जरूरी शर्त है, लेकिन बशर्ते कि अनुवाद भारतीय भाषाओं में सीधे हों। आज दुर्भाग्य है कि 66 साल हो गए हैं, भारतवर्ष की 24 भाषाओं में हम अब तक कोश नहीं बना पाए। हम भारतीय साहित्य और हम भारतीय भाषाओं को लेकर हमारे शासक या हम लोग कितने जागरूक हैं, इसका एक सबसे बड़ा नतीजा है कि 66 साल में हम आपस में इन भारतीय भाषाओं में आवाजाही नहीं कर रहे।
लेकिन देवल साहब, इन 66 सालों में हमने टेलीविजन बना लिया।
जी जी,
तो टेलीविजन सारे भारत को एक ही भाषा बोलता है, वो कौन सी भाषा है?
हम कल्चर क्रिएट करने की तो कोशिश करते हैं, लेकिन हम उतना उसको क्लेवरली प्रेजेंट करते हैं कि वो लगे ना आपको, या वो इन द फेस ना हो कि आपको राजस्थानी अगर नहीं आती तो आप खम्मा गणी नहीं समझ पाते। आप खम्मा गणी और गणी खम्मा समझ पाते हैं क्योंकि आपको वो एक दो वर्ड्स हमने जरूर लिए हैं जो एक फ्लेवर राजस्थान की पूरी लेकर आते हैं और जो रिपीट होते हैं। और आई थिंक बालिका वधू के टेलीकास्ट के 2 हफ्तों बाद से the entire nation knows the meaning of these words.
But are you able to translate all the folk idiom or the metaphors of different languages, depending on, say, if you pick Rajasthan, can you translate them all into this whatever language you call it, TV language?
No, it has to be package worthy. It has to be something interesting for actors to perform and bring out. It cannot be alienating. It can be just, it is like the spices used in a dish. आप उसको गार्निश कर सकते हैं, आप उसको तड़का दे सकते हैं, लेकिन आप उसका खाना नहीं बना सकते।
Which example?
Example, exactly the language things in Balika Vadhu. Also, we show a lot of rituals which are very typical to Rajasthan. But many a time we present them in a manner and we use words to describe those rituals, or while we show the scene of the rituals, the way it is portrayed, it is appealing to a very large section of the Indian audience, if not entire in India.
But Sachin, your work has now, your first novel, which you wrote at the amazingly young age of 20 or 21, Cobalt Blue, has now reached a much wider audience. Frankly, I had not read it or heard of it, and I don't know Marathi, but I've read it now that it's translated in English.
Correct.
So don't you think that English instantly gives you a huge audience?
Well, it does, and it's interesting because a lot of Marathi youngsters, like my nephews, for example, had never read it. The moment it came in English, they all read it. So they're just Maharashtrians by titles. They don't know or read Marathi.
But you know, Jerry Pinto is still that side, so you can quickly tell us, is it a good translation?
It's a great translation. Jerry, it's a great translation, wherever you are. Jerry knows it, I know it. People have told us. But what Jerry came up with as a first draft, it was amazing because he exactly brought in textures and smells and colors of what were there inside the novel. It's not just a literary translation, so had taken huge effort. He had just learned the language, and this is the first work he has done after learning the language. He learned Marathi. Huge effort, I feel. Morning when I was coming to Jaipur, I had a very interesting conversation on flight. A lady asked me, you feel good now, you're part of Indian mainstream now, your book is in English. And I said, who the F is this girl? Because I said, I'm mainstream, I'm writing in my own language, and there are many mainstreams in India. So English translation, the process, the readership, it's amazing, but we can't take any of us seriously as Indian mainstream. We are not supposed to bifurcate ourselves into mainstreams and regionals, and you know, it's not. We shouldn't talk this way. Only journalists can talk this way to excite and create a discussion around it. But I hope we don't mean it when we say that Indian English is a mainstream and regional languages are not. We should be ashamed of ourselves if we think like that.
Let me try and provoke you a little bit. If English, Indian English writing, etc., as we know it today, is not the mainstream, do you have the same attitude in all the languages from publishers, literary agents, literary critics, literary festival organizers? Even here we see there's a little red line under our session which says Bhasha series. You know, a little subset.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's really equal streams that you have?
No, it's not, and it does exist. This whole colonial thing does exist, of course. But I think it's very important to, like, as a filmmaker, I would say how I place camera and how I place camera. Like I would place camera towards me, and while I'm writing and I'm creating something, I should be extremely aware of the fact that I have to take myself very seriously. I have to tell myself that I am mainstream, I'm important, and my opinions, my words do matter in this country. Translation is just an effort to bridge this gap of comprehension of the context and the content, but in no way I would feel secondary just because I'm writing in one of the regional languages, and there are much more other languages in India. Being Maharashtrian, and you know the way Maharashtrians are, especially in terms of literature, we are full of high esteem. Everybody who knows to read and write writes books. So we should have lesser number of literature now coming up. Everybody is writing. Like, you know, you're 16-year-old and you start writing, you start publishing. Now I say enough now. Just stop, reduce the number. So I come from the land of excesses actually.
Thank you, that's wonderful. I'm going to shift this more from the general to the particular now. I'm going to start with Vaidehi. First of all, I read that you started life and literary life as Janaki Hebbar.
Yeah.
How does Janaki Hebbar become Vaidehi?
At that
Please
time-
tell us the truth.
Okay. It's not a secret, it's an open secret. I was in a college, the joint secretary of the union. Girls are always joint secretaries, okay? And we celebrated Mahila Dinacharana, Women's Day. All the women were on the stage, and I was a secretary. I finished everything, and finally the president had to speak. But that president didn't speak at all. I called her many times, but she just sat, she didn't speak. She was very calm and quiet, peaceful, but didn't cooperate with us. And the hooting started. Even the lecturers also were laughing at us. I felt very sad, or very young girl, no? I went home and wrote an article, that's Women's Day, and sent that article to the magazine Sudha. And finally, I came to know that that president was very shy. She cannot talk. She is very afraid of the stage, everything. But she was there. And I felt very sad. I have written about that. So I wrote the magazine, please don't publish it because it will hurt that woman. But that the editor of the Sudha, he called a committee meeting, and in that committee, S. Divakar, very famous short story writer of Kannada, he was there. He told the Shaili, the style of writing is very good, we have to publish it. You please change the name. You keep it Vaidehi. Without my knowledge, my name is changed, and it was published in the name of Vaidehi. I kept that name because I loved that name very much.
Thank you. And obviously you love your language, because I read piece which you wrote saying that I'm a homegrown writer. My Kannadiga worldview was formed by the elders of my family.
Yeah.
It began in the inner rooms of our house. The language of inner rooms entered my ears and spread out within me, and without knowing what it meant.
What it meant, what the name of the language was. Whether it is Kannada or not, I didn't know. Just language comes to us, you know. Later we know this is our language, Kannada.
And was it a particular dialect that you were writing?
Dialect, yeah. In the translation, I miss the flavor of that dialect, you know. It's very, my taluk is Kundapura taluk. In that taluk, there is a special dialect. It doesn't mix, even now, doesn't mix English. It's a pure Kannada.
And does the rest of Karnataka understand the dialect?
Now, I began to use that, like, we are 4 or 8 persons, 8 writers, they use that dialect, so slowly it is coming inside, okay. One story is that Akku, in that, it's the Abhinita Bhasha, there is action in that Bhasha, in Bhasha. We cannot tell, hoga, like this we tell. In Akku, oh, dodate, bani, bega, but in the translation you lose it. Oh, dodate, you come. It's the...
Do you want to read us something quickly in the original and in the translation?
No, I have not brought.
Oh.
Okay. But
Well,
I
do you want to
brought
read
my
us
poems.
something else in
I
the
brought my
language?
poems.
Would you like to?
Okay. I have written a poem in the paribhasha of kitchen.
So we do one poem.
Okay. Tell me who you know. Tell me, you who know poetry. I know nothing of it, but I know what rasam is. Do you think it is mere nothing? It calls for a blend of the principles of water, aroma and essence, a tempered state reached after simmering. Thus, there it was in the corner, a container with rasam, on a seemingly dead and ash-covered coal fire, waiting and waiting. Does it matter that it waits? In a greater darbar of meat dishes, seasoned with spices that sparkled, of servers who danced as they walked, of laughter and chatter, it waited. Since morning, the clear rasam on the seemingly dead coal fire, simmering, still fresh, even at night. You who know all about poetry, tell me, do you know what rasam is? Forgive me, I don't know any poetry.
Wonderful. I can almost taste and smell the rasam. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Rajna, would you give the audience I'm doing this quick single round before we move to the Q&A. Would you like to give the audience a flavor of how you're making language become TV language, which cuts across cultures?
I don't really have
Or in your novel?
script with me, but I was told by reviewers and my editor and all those at the publishing house that my novel was very visual. It was almost like reading a TV serial. I don't apologize for that because my sensibility is Indian, and therefore even though the medium I have used for expression is English, this could well have been Hindi. This could be a complete feeling or an interaction between women who are completely entrenched in the Hindi ethos. So just like to read a page out. Before Niyati slept, Mummy warmed a glass of milk and gave it to her. She poured another one for Nisha. Gudiya, go and give this to Didi. She works so hard, poor thing. Tell her to drink it before going to bed. She won't say no to you. Niyati dutifully carried the glass to Nisha's room. The door of her room wasn't locked. Niyati waited for a second and then pushed it open. Nisha stood in front of the mirror, hand near her forehead, peering closely into the mirror. Niyati came inside. Didi? Nisha turned around suddenly, her expression one of complete shock. Niyati immediately noticed the red blob of powder at the base of the parting on her forehead. It had got smudged perhaps with the jerk of Nisha's hand as she had turned around on hearing Niyati. Her hair was open and fell in waves till her hips. Niyati stood there confused. Nisha was completely silent for a minute. Gudiya, it's you? Mummy has sent a glass of milk for you, said Niyati, adding, Didi, why have you applied sindoor? Nisha laughed loudly. Sindoor? This is not sindoor. I got this at a temple in Bangalore. Even unmarried girls are supposed to wear it for some time to gain the Devi's blessings. Hey, I hope you don't think there's more to it, do you? She laughed raucously and tweaked Niyati's flushed cheeks. Niyati was thankful to feel relieved. She kept the glass of milk on the side table and turned to leave. Good night, Didi. Good night, my little sister, Nisha said in a strange sing-song voice. Niyati came down the stairs and went straight to Mummy. She was already asleep, her mouth slightly open and snoring. When Niyati snuggled up to her belly, Mummy pulled her closer and patted her head mechanically. Sleep began overpowering Niyati gradually. As she slipped into slumber, the last thing that she remembered was Didi's raucous laughter and the sindoor.
I can almost see the serial playing out except for the music. Sachin, in a conversation, there's been a lot about the sense of smell. And you have done a movie, Gandha,
Yeah.
which moves on smell. And even cobalt blue has a very tactile feel and a sensitive sort of feel. What is your affinity for such things? And while you are at it, since you're not going to read out anything, tell us why didn't you become a film director when you really wanted to, which was at age 16 or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
You went to Ashutosh Govarkar.
No, Ashutosh is a cousin, and Ashu was making Pehla Nasha when I was in 9th, his first film, much before Lagan. Pehla Nasha was his first film, and so I thought he's making, why shouldn't I? I was in 9th standard. And I just wanted to become a film director. You just get up one day and you want to become a film director. And I think after 11th, after my 10th exam, I went to him and he was preparing for Lagan. He was writing Lagan. And without telling my parents, I bought a ticket, went on the Asiad bus to Bombay, met him, and he said, like in Marathi, he said, but अभी तू घर नहीं जाएगा तो मैं फोन करके बुला लूंगा सबको, वापस मत आना ऐसे बिना बताए. And you're not going to do films till you finish your graduation. Very typical of your elder cousins to say that. And after 12th, then I started assisting Marathi filmmakers in Pune. Then started liking the medium, then went to the film school in Paris and then in Pune. So that's how the journey happened. In between, I had written Cobalt Blue already, which became kind of my first writing. It was published much later when I was into theatre. I was writing plays by that time.
And it was
doing
called
films.
Cobalt Blue in Marathi also.
It's called Cobalt Blue in Marathi also. Because that's just a response to the sound it gives you. I like those sounds of words, and Cobalt Blue has something, I don't know what it is, but of course there's a painter in it and some chemicality to it, some chemical tinge to it, which I love. I also particularly love that shade of blue. I really like that shade of blue, which is all over in my work. So yeah, Cobalt Blue had already happened, and I was doing my 4th and 5th draft when I was doing my first feature film, and Cobalt Blue was published. So it all happened simultaneously. There was no one big plan or something, or you can't decide, right, what you want to do and how things happen. You just respond to things happening around you and things happen. I've never been a responsible writer, though. I've never worked hard. I've done plays and I've done short stories. It's been about a decade now. Cobalt Blue is out and I'm lazy. Right now I'm working on my next novel. I've promised myself this Diwali I'm going to finish it, and I'm really, really enjoying it. But one has to accumulate that material to create a novel.
Well,
I didn't have it.
We certainly look forward to a happy Diwali there. देवाल साहब, आपकी कविता पे राजस्थान की वीर काव्य की परंपरा का बहुत प्रभाव है, और इसके बारे में कुछ कहेंगे और कुछ सुनाएंगे। पहले तो ये शर्त है कि कुछ आप एक कविता सुनाइए
जी,
और छोटा सा उसमें कुछ संक्षेप
जी।
पोर्शन,
जी, मैं
शायद
बताऊं।
वो जो हुआ इंसिडेंट के बारे में, शायद यहाँ पे ऑडियंस को थोड़ा बता दीजिए हुआ में क्या हुआ था।
जी मैं ये बता रहा था आपको कि पहले तो मैं अपनी एक बात कह दूं, जब हम इसको भारतीय भाषाओं के साहित्य को उस एकता के उस जाम में या शीशे में उतारने के लिए जब हम अंग्रेजी को माध्यम बनाते हैं तो बड़ी दिक्कत होती है। हमारे एक उन्होंने जो बहू, कौन सी बहू, बालिका वधू जो बनाने वालों ने ये कहा कि हमने खमागणी को बिना कुछ ये बताए हुए पूरे भारतवर्ष में हमने उसे प्रचलित कर दिया। ये ठीक उस तरह का है जैसे ये जिस गंध को के पर काम कर रहे हैं, ये शब्द का अनुवाद नहीं, उसको गंध से महसूस करना है। वरना माफ करिए, इस हिंदुस्तान में जो अंग्रेजी में आप सवेरे सवेरे सब गुड मॉर्निंग हो जाएगी, अगर खमागणी भी वहीं रह जाएगी, सलाम वालेकुम भी वहां रह जाएगा और सत श्री अकाल भी वहां रह जाएगा। क्या ये तीनों, चारों, पांचों या ये 2300 मिलकर के सिर्फ गुड मॉर्निंग? इसलिए भारत को, यद्यपि मैं जानता हूं कि ये महोत्सव हमें अंग्रेजी के माध्यम से मिला है और ये इसी के माध्यम से हम लोग यहाँ हैं, लेकिन जयपुर लिटरेरी फेस्टिवल जयपुर भाषा उत्सव नहीं हो सकता। इसी तरह से जो भारतीय भाषाओं की जो खूबसूरतियां हैं, वो खूबसूरती उसमें नहीं आएगी, वहां जाकर के रिड्यूस हो जाना होगा, सब गुड मॉर्निंग में रिड्यूस हो जाएगा। और जो ये हमारी इतनी विविधता है, जिसके पीछे इतनी लंबी सांस्कृतिक विरासत है, वो सब की सब खो जाएगी। मेरे से ये कहा गया है कि मैं आपको एक कविता का कुछ पोर्शन सुनाऊं, लंबी कविता है, मैं पूरा तो नहीं सुनाऊंगा, लेकिन उसका जो पृष्ठभूमि है वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि विक्रमी संवत 1643 में, मतलब लगभग 1584 में राजस्थान के कुछ पोइट्स का, या यहाँ राजस्थान में जो पोइट्स हैं वो सब, उनको जो फेडरल सिस्टम था, जो राजाओं का सामंती राज था, उसमें जागीर अता की जाती थी। तो वो सब जागीरें जो है वो किसी एक कारण है, उसमें मैं नहीं जाऊंगा। 1584 में वो जागीरें जब्त कर ली गई और वो जो जोधपुर दी देन अस्तवाई मारवाड़ रियासत, वहां के उन कवियों ने कहा कि वी वांट टू प्रोटेस्ट अगेंस्ट यू। तो राजा ने कहा कि अगर प्रोटेस्ट करोगे तो मैं हाथी भेज कर करके तुम्हें उसके पांवों के नीचे कुचला दूंगा। तो उन्होंने कहा कि ठीक है, हमें यहाँ से मारवाड़ छोड़ के चले जाएंगे, हम मेवाड़ की तरफ जाएंगे, क्योंकि महाराणा प्रताप वहाँ है तो संभव है वो हमारी इज्जत करे। और इस सिलसिले में वो जब जा रहे थे, तब उन्होंने आउआ, एक जगह है मारवाड़ जंक्शन के पास, वहां पर उन लोगों ने एक सत्याग्रह किया और उस सत्याग्रह में 208 कवियों ने छुरी पहन कर करके, जिसे जापान में हाराकेरी कहते हैं, उस तरह से अपनी जान दी। और सिर्फ न केवल ये पहनने के नहीं, उन्होंने तागा किया। तागा का मानी यह होता है कि उस छुरी से उन्होंने अपना एक एक जॉइंट काटा प्रोटेस्ट करते हुए, और एक घेरा बना कर करके वहां बैठ गए और कुल ये 7 दिन तक घेरा चला और 208 के करीब जो कवि थे उस समय के, वो उसमें मारे गए। आपने ठीक कहा कि मैं उस परंपरा से आता हूं, वीर रस की परंपरा राजस्थान की मुख्य परंपरा रही है, लेकिन मैं नहीं मानता कि भारतीय भाषाओं में ऐसा कोई भी शॉर्टकट है कि जो भक्ति काल से होकर के नहीं आया हो। मेरी भाषा में भी भक्ति काल है, सारी भाषाओं में भक्ति काल है, लेकिन राजस्थानी में वीर रस जो है वो उसकी विशिष्टतम विविधता है, विशिष्टतम खासियत है। वो दूसरी भारतीय भाषाओं में इस मौके पर इतनी मात्रा में नहीं मिलता। पंजाबी में कुछ वार और ये जो है वो मिलती हैं, और इसके लिए रविंद्रनाथ ने बहुत सुंदर बात कही थी। जब उसने ये राजस्थान का जो वीर रस है डिंगल में जो सुना था, तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं चाहता हूं कि मेरे शांति निकेतन में इस तरह की सिलसिला शुरू हो, लेकिन वो नहीं हो पाया। और वहां रविंद्रनाथ एक बहुत सुंदर बात कहते हैं। 2 बातें मैं इसको कह करके अपनी छोटी सी कविता सुनाऊंगा। रविंद्रनाथ एक बात तो कहते हैं कि हमारी जो स्थानीय भाषा या हमारी मातृभाषा कितनी महत्वपूर्ण है, और वो यहाँ कहते हैं कि शेर की खाल बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, बहुत पवित्र है, क्योंकि उस पर बैठ के लोग माला फेरते हैं, और बहुत सुनहरी है, सारे गुण हैं, लेकिन मैं उसके साथ, उससे मैं अपनी बैठक सजा सकता हूँ, बैठक की दीवार सजा सकता हूँ, मैं उससे अपने घर का श्रृंगार कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन अपनी चमड़ी की उसके साथ अदला बदली नहीं कर सकता। ये दोनों ही स्किन है, लेकिन ये कैन नॉट बी रिप्लेस लाइक दिस। और रविंद्रनाथ फिर ये कहते हैं कि भारत माता के गले में ये जो 24 भाषाओं के रूप में ये जो फूल पुष्पों की एक माला है, जिससे इस भारत माता की पूजा होती है, यदि उसमें एक भी फूल खंडित है, यदि उसका एक फूल की एक पंखुड़ी निकली हुई है, जैसे मेरी राजस्थानी बिल्कुल ही खंडित है, तो वो भारत माता के गले में उसकी पूजा के लिए माला उपयुक्त नहीं। बस मैं आपको वो एक छोटा सा पोर्शन पूरी कविता नहीं सुनाऊंगा, और ये बताऊंगा कि वो कवि जो है उसके वहां से कवि के घर से आउआ उत्तर में है, दराऊ में, और वो कैसे उसकी लॉन्गिंग है उसको देखने के लिए शायद थोड़ा बहुत आपको उसका एहसास हो जाए। चीनी सी पीड़, छोटी सी पीड़ा, बेटा बेटा आ धराऊ दिस वाली बारी मत उगाड़, आ आउआ कानी खुले। बेटा आ धराऊ दिस वाली बारी मत उगाड़, आ आउआ कानी खुले। थने ठा कोनी इन दिस सू एक मीठी मीठी अबोली सी पीड़ आय बाजे, जाणू ती दुख देवी कोनी जिन सुकाई लियो। आ बारी माए कर आवनी शुरू है तो डबे ही कोनी, जाने रात रा मोखी सू अंधारा री सीर आवे, और आओ गो और अंधारा सू भर जावे। ठीक उनी गत जू ठारी सू भर जावे। आ सुवारी छोटी सी पीड़ एक ओलू है जूनी, जिकी सूकड़ी नंदीरी रंजी सागे कणाकली उड़गी व्योम में आज उन घटना रा खोज ही नहीं लागी। और मैं आपसे कहूंगा हमारे मित्र सरना जी के आप इसका अंग्रेजी में
I
करना
have this translation in English. I don't know how good it is, but I will read it out for those who are not Rajasthani speakers. Son, do not open the window on the north. It opens on the onto Awa. How do you know that a sweet, speechless pain flows in from this direction? The pain may not be overwhelming, but that makes no difference. Exactly like a stream of darkness that seeping through the sewage channel fills an entire chamber with darkness and with winter, this pain, too, once it enters through the window, never ceases to flow. This delicate little pain is an ancient memory, which along with the fine sand of the river Sukri has been blown far, far away. There are no traces even in the air of that what happened. So I think on balance, before we go to the Q&As, I think this gandha of Indian literature, without breaking it up into languages, has spread all over the country. तो इसको ऐसे ही महसूस किया जाए, जैसे खामोशी में वो कहते हैं,
सिर्फ गंध है,
सिर्फ एहसास है ये, रूह से महसूस करो, प्यार को प्यार ही रहने दो, कोई नाम न दो. Questions?
क्वेश्चन माइक प्लीज।
Mics, please.
My question is to Sachin. I was just wondering, you know, your name is titled, your book is titled Cobalt Blue. And while I hear you speak over here, I can very well say that you are good in English.
Okay.
Did this thought ever strike you that I must write it in English? I
I-
just want to know, your
I-
regional language is Marathi.
Correct. I
but
think in Marathi.
You think in
Even when I'm
Marathi.
talking to you in English, I'm translating it subconsciously. No, of course, I have analyzed it. Also, my thesaurus and my vocabulary in English is very, very limited.
Okay.
It's a huge task to think and write something in a particular language.
All right.
For that, you really have to be, I don't know, completely have to master that language. Now I'm slowly, like a baby steps moving towards learning Bengali now, because my aim is to learn Indian languages, and I'm slowly moving to Bengali. My actually classes would start at the end of February, regular classes. It's huge. I speak French, I read French, like a Parisian, maybe a Frenchman.
Yeah.
But I can't create an original content in French. They're two different things. I speak French the way I speak English, but I can't write in French. I can only write in Marathi.
I get your
Unfortunately,
point. I get your
unfortunately.
point. Oh
But
yeah, that's perfect.
yeah.
It's not necessary that if you're speaking a good person to speak in English or in any other language, you cannot just write.
Right, next question, please. At the back there, yeah.
सर मेरा सवाल देवल साहब से है। मैं जानना चाहूँगा, आपने उत्तर भारतीय भाषाओं में बहुत काम करा है, आपने उत्तर भारतीय भाषाओं में और काफ़ी ट्रांसलेशंस करी हैं। जो भाषा है जो उत्तर भारतीय, ये जाति का जो पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट है हमारे देश में, उसको मजबूत करता है या कमज़ोर करता है? मतलब आप क्या सोचते हैं इसके बारे में कि जाति का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है हमारे उत्तर भारत में, जब आप ट्रांसलेट करते हैं, पंजाब की बात करते हैं आप, राजस्थान में बहुत सारी जातियाँ हैं, आप मुझसे ज़्यादा जानते होंगे, कितना जो भाषा का जो ट्रांसलेशन है, जो भाषा अलग जगहों से, जैसे राजस्थान में मेवाड़ है, तो भाषा जाति का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, जो पूरा एक स्ट्रक्चर है जाति का, उसको मजबूती देता है, उसे कमजोर करता है? आपको क्या लगता है इसका?
नहीं देखिए, ये तो सोचना ही नहीं जाना चाहिए कि ये उसे कमजोरी देता है, क्योंकि अगर ये कमजोरी दे रहा होता तो एक भाषा जो मेरे इस प्रांत में, जिसका इतिहास 900 वर्षों का है, तो वो तब तक कभी की पेरिश हो गई होती, कभी की समाप्त हो गई होती। ये जो विविडिटी है, ये जो विविधता है, वही मैं जो बात अब यहाँ कह रहा था, अब मैं भाषा के साथ, जो भाषा के आनुषांगिक बोलियां हैं, भाषा के साथ जो बना हुआ ग्रुप ऑफ बोलियां हैं, जो बानी है हमारी, वो बानी सारी मिलकर करके उस लैंग्वेज को स्ट्रेंथन करती है, उस भाषा को बनाती है, उस भाषा को और मजबूत बनाती है। इसलिए ये और अलग अलग तरह की बोलियां होना उस भाषा की समृद्धता की एक निशानी है। इसलिए हमें उससे नहीं डरना चाहिए, क्योंकि भाषा हो सकती है कि एक फॉर्म में कभी न कभी समाप्त हो जाए, लेकिन दूसरी जो बोली है वो अगर मजबूत रही तो उसमें वापस वो भाषा पुनर्जीवित हो जाएगी और उसमें जीवित रहेगी। तो इसलिए हम लोगों को इस बारे को लेकर के कोई चिंता नहीं होनी चाहिए कि उसमें हमारी इतनी जातियां और हम इतने छोटे छोटे, हमारे यहाँ तो कहा जाता है 12 कोष में बोली पलट जाती है, पानी बदल जाता है। तो उससे क्या होता है, पानी तो पानी रहता है, 12 कोष में पानी बदलता है तो उसका थोड़ा सा स्वाद बदलता है। ठीक इसी तरह भाषा में थोड़े से कॉनोटेशन बदलते हैं, उसके उच्चारण की हल्की सी विधि बदलती है, भाषा नहीं बदलती। इसलिए ये होना तो बहुत अच्छा है। अगर राजस्थानी में इतनी बोलियां हैं तो ये राजस्थानी की समृद्धता की एक बहुत बड़ा निशान है, एक पुख्ता प्रमाण है इस बात का।
One at the back and we'll come back. Yeah.
सर हमारे देश की जो राष्ट्रीय भाषा है वो हिंदी है, लेकिन अगर हम बात करें यहाँ पर आप कह रहे हो कॉमन लैंग्वेज ऑफ ट्रांसलेशन वो इंग्लिश है, ये हमारे पास दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात नहीं है क्या?
ये आपका सवाल मुझसे है? मैंने तो यही कहा था जो आप कह रहे हैं कि अंग्रेजी में हम अच्छे ढंग से भारतीय भाषाओं या भारतीय साहित्य को उसके मूल उत्स को हम ला ही नहीं सकते। छोटा सा एग्जांपल दिया था मैंने कि वालेकुम सलाम और सत श्री अकाल और जय माता जी और राम राम और कम्मा गणी को हम या वणक्कम और इन सबको गुड मॉर्निंग कहकर करके उसे रिड्यूस करते हैं। तो इसलिए
I just want to share one experience in script writing, जो कि हम लोग नॉर्मली स्टोरी, स्क्रीन प्ले और डायलॉग्स के डिपार्टमेंट्स थोड़े से अलग होते हैं एक दूसरे से, और स्टोरी और स्क्रीन प्ले हम लोग इंग्लिश में लिखते हैं, लेकिन हम लोग लिखते वक्त भी कई बार ऐसा अटक जाते हैं टू फाइंड द राइट एक्सप्रेशन टू से व्हाट वी वांट टू कन्वे, दैट वी हैव टू यूज इंग्लिश। आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल। अगर हमें एक सीन डिस्क्राइब करना हो कि सुमित्रा गंगा की आरती उतारती है या नजर उतारती है, तो व्हाट कैन वी पॉसिबली ट्रांसलेट दैट इनटू इंग्लिश? सो वी एंड अप राइटिंग इन रोमन, बट वी राइट उतारोज हर नजर, which is grammatically nonsense, but it conveys what should go right down to dialogue level and to execution and to enactment.
Right. One here, please.
Question to you, ma'am. इस बालिका वधू सीरियल, इसकी परिकल्पना ओरिजिनली हिंदी में की गई थी या ओरिजिनली परिकल्पना ही राजस्थानी में की गई थी? मतलब क्योंकि साथ में संस्कृति का भी सवाल आता है, क्योंकि संस्कृति राजस्थान की संस्कृति और आप हिंदी संस्कृति की बात करें तो कई उत्तर भारतीय राज्य उसमें आ जाते हैं।
जी सही है। बालिका वधू का कॉन्सेप्ट जिन्होंने लिखा है वो राजस्थान के हैं और पूरी तरह से यहाँ की संस्कृति, यहाँ के रहन सहन में डूबे हुए हैं, मगर बम्बई में स्क्रिप्ट राइटर हैं, तो इसलिए वो इन दोनों दुनिया को मिलाकर उन्होंने जो बैलेंस क्रिएट किया है पूरी चीज़ को कंसेप्चुअलाइज करने में, एक होता है कंसेप्चुअलाइज, एक होता है कहानी को आगे बढ़ाना, क्योंकि हम लोग 1500 एपिसोड पुराने हो चुके हैं, तो डिटेलिंग में बहुत कुछ पैन इंडियन हो जाता है, लेकिन बेसिक कंसेप्चुअलाइजिंग तो भाषा हिंदी थी मगर एक राजस्थानी माइंड था.
Right, possibly two quick questions, one here, one in the back. Yes.
Good evening. My question is to you, Navtej. You've done translations and I have read a few of them. My question is, when you are translating, and especially some work which is
I can't hear you.
when you are translating, especially what has been written 300, 400 years back in a different language, the whole usage of vocab and its meaning changes every 30 years. That's what it is said for many words. So how do you really get to that meaning which was meant 300 years back and bring it today in the contemporary English usage while you are translating that work? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if it's meant for me, I think the context is my translation of Zafarnama, which was 300 years ago in Asian Persian or Indian Persian at that time. I can't say that it is an easy task because you have to take what was written. It does, classical texts, the meanings don't change that much as may change in colloquial. So that is a plus point. At the same time, you have to read it in a particular historical context. For instance, that document that you're talking about, the Zafarnama, I had to study its historical and philosophical context to know what exactly it would have meant to be of the thought which would be consistent of the original writer. So you can't suddenly say that it could be something which is totally in difference with the writer's other writings. So if the same person has written it, he follows a certain philosophy, and there's a historical context. And then, fortunately, these things have been translated before. Say the Zafarnama was translated several times into Punjabi. But at every translation and at every inscription, somebody would change something because he doesn't like a word or he can't read that. And these scripts, the scribes, a fairly elementary education. So they could just scribe. They wouldn't have a philosophical understanding. So very often, it's a mistake. Sometimes it's a devious mistake because he says, no, I don't think he should have said this, he should have said this. So the problem is filtering through all that. Sorry, one more question, and maybe the rest of us can have this discussion later unless the organizers can give us more time. I don't know how much time do we have.
Okay.
One question. One question.
So my question is all of you. So as we all know, today's Indian youth is getting away from the local language or from even Hindi. So can there be any measure, except the reading, can there be any measure to pull them towards their local language or Hindi, except reading part?
Who would like to take that?
देखिए मैं
Sorry, please.
देखिए ये जो समस्या है कि आपने जो कहा कि जो हमारे यूथ है हमारा ये अंग्रेजी की तरफ भाग रहा है तो उनको कैसे उसमें लाया जाए, इसका जवाब हमारे को अपने भीतर खोजना पड़ेगा. हमने हमारी संस्कृति, हमारी अपनी संस्कार, हमारी अपनी जमीन से उपजा हुआ साहित्य को हमने कितना प्यार किया. यदि आप अपने यहाँ आपकी देश से उपजे हुए साहित्य को भी प्रेम नहीं कर सकते तो ऐसी संसार की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो आपको रोक करके इधर ले जाए. ये ठीक उसी तरह है जैसे घोड़े को मैं पानी के प्याऊ तक ले जा सकता हूँ, घोड़ा पानी पिएगा कि नहीं पिएगा ये घोड़े की मर्जी पर निर्भर करता है. इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि हम लोगों को ये फिर से सोचने का मौका है. यदि हम इस खतरे को पहचान गए हैं तो हमें इस खतरे से निकलने की इजाद को ढूंढना चाहिए. आइए हम सब मिलकर ऐसा प्रयास करें. धन्यवाद.
I just have something to add here that as makers in working in other medium, apart from books, whether it is films or television, there is a responsibility which we have to also do our bit in terms of bringing this lost culture, lost language, and I think we are moving in the right direction. There is hope, but beyond the world of books, there are other worlds which also have a part to play. So we should play it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much all of you and Bhaskar Bhasha.